Rocky Mountains are home to plenty of beautiful sunsets, vacation homes, as well as some great skiing and snowboarding. However, these mountains were once home to a unique group of Native Americans known as the Utes.
Today, the Utes are native to Colorado, Utah, and New Mexico, split up into 5 bands: the Weminuche Band, the White River Band, the Uncompahgre Band, the Capote Band, and the Muachi Band. This is the story of the White River Utes. The tribe occupied the Middle Park area without conflict until the mid to late 1800s, when the U.S. government expanded out towards Colorado in search of land and gold. That's when the Utes' way of life changed forever. They were led by multiple chiefs, one of them being Colorow. In this time period, when the American people started moving out west, they caused conflicts between the Utes and the government because the government wanted Ute land for expansion and mining. Colorow defended his land, which made the government and Colorado locals furious. Colorow is most certainly not respected by the government and locals of modern-day Grand County. In this time, the press was very influential, and they used this against Colorow by giving him a bad name. They did this in multiple ways. One example is when the steamboat pilot posted an article on Colorow and his immense appetite. A man named William Vickers went so far as to create a campaign called "The Utes Must Go." This did end up giving him a bad reputation among locals. However, since the Utes didn't read the paper, they didn't have the same disrespect. They actually had a great respect for him because he was standing against the government. Interesting facts about Colorow. Fact 1. Colorow would go door to door asking for food. Fact 2. Rumors spread that Colorow was overweight from biscuits. Fact 3. Colorow was actually overweight from a kidney disease. I visited Tim Nicholas at the Grand County Pioneer Village Museum asking questions having to do with the subject.
He was going around places and asking for food and telling people to leave the territory. For Colorow, that was part of his overall thing, that by going around and asking for food and then telling them to leave, that was all part of his threat, his standing against these people. You're going to be in my territory, you're going to give me food, and if not, you'd better go. And you got, a couple nights to do it. But I think that for the press, they were twisting things around to make Colorow look less desirable, kind of lower who he was as a leader in people's minds. So I think that was the biggest part of the motivation.
Another Ute chief, Ouray, who was also the counterpart to Colorow, was fighting against Colorow to give away some of the Ute land to the government. His stand is understandable in the sense that the government had an army that they could use to take the Ute land by force, so he was just trying to protect them. Ouray lacked faith in his people and their fighting abilities. This is what turned Colorow and most of the Utes against him.
The motive for Ouray giving away the land, he wasn't trying to give away the land. He was trying to maintain part of the land for the Utes. So he wasn't giving away all the land. But he was giving away a lot of the territory just so that they can maintain peace with the white settlers.
The government called Ouray the chief of the Utes because he was cooperating with the government. This term chief was not politically correct because there was no official Ute chief, only sub-chiefs, and Colorow is technically a sub-chief. The Utes highly respected Colorow because Colorow was against the government, so if anybody should be considered chief of the Utes, it should be Colorow. All of the conflicts between Colorow, Ouray, and the government led to the government trying to adapt the Utes to the white man's lifestyle. This caused the Meeker Massacre, which was started by a man named Nathan Meeker. He and 50 other men were sent by the government trying to adapt the Utes to the culture of white men. They did this in multiple ways, including teaching them how to farm like the Americans. This is exactly what Nathan Meeker and 10 of his men did. The Utes didn't like his ways, so they attacked and killed Nathan Meeker along with 10 other men. This incident became known as the Meeker Massacre. During this horrific event, Ouray was on the sidelines trying to create peace but not physically fighting. Nonetheless, both the Utes and Nathan Meeker had men killed in the Meeker Massacre. This resulted in the Utes being moved from their home in the Middle Park area to 3 modern-day Ute reservations which you can visit.
It was through these campaigns, these press campaigns, that the Utes' territory and their reservations kept getting smaller and smaller and far more specific as to where they would be. If it weren't for the media campaigns, the press campaigns, then they wouldn't have influenced the government to do such a thing as well. Also, they were giving influence to settlers that it's their right to go ahead in these areas that have been promised to the Utes under like the Bruneau territory. It's okay to go there because this is this is land that needs to be settled and exploited for its mineral riches.
During the mid to late 1800s, the government pressured the Utes to move from their land so they could cash in on the gold rush. The Ute land was highly sought after because it contained a vast amount of gold. This meant that any land the government wanted, they took, even if they had to put up a fight. The Utes occupied land in the Middle Park area, at least until the government rushed in and stole the land. Colorow defended the Ute land, however, Ouray, his counterpart, was trying to give away the Ute land to protect the Utes. That turned many Utes, including Colorow, against Ouray. The government then tried to adapt the Utes to the American lifestyle by sending Nathan Meeker along with 50 other men to do the job. Nathan Meeker was teaching them how to farm with 10 of his men. The Utes then attacked and killed them because the Utes didn't like their way of farming. Though Colorow's stand failed, it had many positive effects.
The positive stand at that moment, I suppose, was that it united a lot of the Ute people. It united the various chiefs and sub-chiefs, which I think was really important. There were varying opinions from the various chiefs and sub-chiefs, and this really did bring them all under one voice, more so than Ouray, in a sense. Colorow almost became the chief of the Utes in many ways. So, making a stand at the moment, it was good for the people, but because of the outcome, you can't say that there was much positive, because as a result of the outcome, they were defeated people, absolutely defeated.
Even though the Utes were defeated, Colorow still led a band of 6 White River Utes to Aspen, Colorado, murdering people everywhere. Colorow died in 1888 from a bad case of pneumonia. However, his spirit lived on through Ute tradition.